Hello, people of LCOS. It is so good to be with you again. This is Pastor Kim talking to you this morning about generosity. So if you are a young person, generosity is not always easy to tell about. But one thing that I know is that people are usually generous with many things. So one is their time, one is their talent, and the other is their treasure. That's the way we sort of begin talking about our resources. Okay? Resources are things that we have, that God has given us, and we get to decide what to do with them. So, time. Sometimes people volunteer at church. They clean up, they help out. Sometimes they bake yummy things. Sometimes they make a meal for someone that doesn't have time to cook. Sometimes they share that because it is one of their talents. So they share their time and their talents. Sometimes people can play a musical instrument, and they will do that in worship, or they will do that for someone who is ill. They might record something for someone. There are all kinds of ways to share your time and your talent. Now, sometimes the most difficult one for people is to share their treasure. All of us have different ideas about money. But one thing is for sure, that we are all, as we age, we get more control over what we have to spend and save and give. So those are the three categories for me. We spend some money, we save some money, and we give some money. So I have a little something down here on the table I want to share with you. Here it is. All right. So these are containers that represent save, spend in the middle, and give. Now, if my money that I have, let's see, it's represented by 10 coins, okay? All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so when I am deciding how to spend my money, it is biblical to think of saving 10%. 10% is 1 in 10. So I would save 10%. And I would give 10%. So actually, I think I said this one was save and that one was give. But anyway, save, give 10. And then I have the rest of this, which is 6, to spend on what I need. My food, my place to live, all those things, a car, all the things that you need in order to do things. Now, why we do this is important to know. First of all, it is good for us to save a little money and to be smart and not to spend everything we make. It is difficult to do that because when you are young, people give you money, gift you money, maybe you get an allowance that you work for, but when you do that, you are in charge of all that money. And as you get older, you recognize that there are certain things like taxes and rent and things like that that you have to set aside. So it's important to think about setting aside a little bit of everything that you have. So we save a little bit, maybe 10% if we are able, right? And we give 10% because it's important to recognize that we have been given this by God and God calls us to share. So we try very hard to do this in just this way. Now sometimes, and this is why people have trouble, sometimes it is difficult to save 10. Maybe something came up, right? And it's difficult to give away 10%. So what we do is we work really hard to do that. Sometimes we can't. So we do what it is that we are able. And we ask God to help us always to share. So that's the give. To spend our money well and correctly. And we save just a little bit so that when times are difficult, we are able to weather them and able to find a little bit more. Now, when we are generous, we do this, and if we start very early, I think we do it better. I think we are used to it then, and we know why God calls us to be generous. God calls us to be generous because it's important to think about someone else besides ourselves. And sometimes I could just gather up all my money and keep it to myself. But then I'd be worried about it, and I'd think about it. The story that we're going to tell on Sunday morning is about a person who is not worried. In fact, wants to be generous to those who have little. So it's important to think about these things, and I hope you will. If you ever have any questions about these things, don't forget to get the people who love you to write a message to me or to Pastor Katie and ask those questions, because it's important to know what God is asking of us and why we do the things we do. So be generous with your time. Be kind. If you have a younger sibling, spend some time reading to them. That is generous. If you know that someone does not have a toy, or if you have outgrown a toy, you could share those with other people if they're not worn out. If they still have a lot of time to be played with, you could share that with someone. Ask your parents, ask the people that love you, the ones you live with, and ask them what you could do. Talk about it while you're having dinner, or while you're riding in the car, when you're thinking about what God would have us all do. I thank you for being generous, and I thank you for watching this. We'll see you next week. Bye.